When you picture a rental property owner, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Is it some kind of real estate mogul, strategically buying up properties like they're playing a game of Monopoly? Well, that image, it's a powerful one. But what the data actually shows us is a reality that's way more surprising and a whole lot more human. Okay, so let's just dive right in and tackle that stereotype head on. The classic Monopoly man. The empire builder, right? Laser focused on profit and nothing else. But what if I told you that for most owners out there today, that picture is, well, it's just not true at all. And this one number is what completely shatters that myth. 55%. Think about that for a second. More than half of all rental owners didn't plan for this. They didn't chase it. They just kind of fell onto it by circumstance. It happened. This one fact just flips the whole script on how we should be thinking about the market. It tells us that a massive chunk of rental owners aren't some seasoned pros. Nope. They're just everyday people who are figuring out how to handle a responsibility they never saw coming. So if they aren't tycoons, who are they? Well, the answer really boils down to these three distinct personas. And these aren't just clever labels. They really represent the different paths, the different motivations, and, this is key, the different worries that define today's property owner. Getting to know them is how you understand the whole landscape. Let's kick things off with the strategist. Now, this group makes up about 44% of the market, and they're the ones who come closest to that old stereotype we talked about. They are definitely business-minded. They went out and bought properties specifically as a financial investment. But there are some really crucial differences. And this right here shows you exactly how they think. Their motivation is crystal clear. It's all about generating income, whether that's active or passive. But look at what stresses them out. Maintenance and repairs at 46% isn't just a hassle for them. No, they see it as a direct threat to their return on investment. They're not looking for another job. They're looking for a pro, a partner who can protect their asset. Next up, we have a totally different kind of owner, the steward. This is about 32% of the market, and these are the folks who became landlords by accident. Maybe they inherited a place, or they couldn't sell their old home when they moved. They never meant to be in this business. And here's the most important part. They often have a really deep emotional connection to the property. And you can see that shift right here. The motivations, they're not financial, they're personal. They're holding on for sentimental reasons or just waiting for the right time to sell. And look at their top stressor. Maintenance is even higher at 52%. For them, a leaky pipe isn't just a line item on a budget. It feels like they're failing to protect a piece of their family's history. It's about preserving a memory. All right, our last persona is this really interesting mix of the first two. Let's meet the emerging professional. They make up about 23% of the market. Now, their journey started out by accident, just like the steward. But somewhere along the way, they saw the potential and made a decision to really lean in and become a real investor. And you can literally see them evolving by what they're focused on. They're looking to build passive income, to grow their portfolio. In fact, 4 out of every 10 of them are actively trying to buy more properties. And their stress points show this new mindset too. Sure, maintenance is still a big deal, but now finding good help and filling vacancies, things crucial for growth, are right up there at the top of their list. So here it is, all laid out in one place. You've got the strategist, the planned investor, worried about their ROI. Then there's the steward, the accidental landlord, worried about damage to a place they love. And finally, the emerging pro, who started by chance but is now worried about how to grow the right way. 3 totally different people with 3 totally different sets of problems. But for all their differences, the data points to something really powerful, a universal truth that connects every single one of them. It's the core emotional need that shapes how they see absolutely everything. When you ask owners what they value most from a property manager, the answer is just staggering. A full 75% say peace of mind. Only 25% say increases profitability. Let that sink in. The emotional need for security is 3 times more powerful than the financial motive. 3 times. And this quote from an owner just says it all, doesn't it? It's not just about avoiding a few headaches, it's about safeguarding something important. For the steward, it's the security of knowing a former home is safe. For the strategist, it's the financial security of a protected asset. At the end of the day, it's all about delivering that feeling of security. So, what do you do with all this? How does knowing who you're talking to actually change anything? Well, turns out you can boil all these insights down into a simple, actionable playbook. It really comes down to a simple 3-step framework. First, just identify the persona. All you have to do is listen to their story. Second, you tailor how you talk to them. Be professional for the strategist, be reassuring for the steward, and be more of a teacher for the emerging pro. And finally, step 3, align your services to solve their specific core problem, whether that's managing an asset, giving them total peace of mind, or guiding their growth. And all of this brings us to one last question to think about. If we know that the need for security, for peace of mind, is 3 times more powerful than the drive for profit, then it's worth asking yourself, is your approach really speaking your client's language? Because understanding the person behind the property, that's not just good business, that's everything.